Drivers, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'm just gonna put my foot on the floor and I'm not lifting until I see God or a checkered flag.
My man.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
We want to thank you tonight for these mighty machines that you brought before us. Thank you for the Dodges and the Toyotas. Thank you for the Fords. Lord, I want to thank you for my smoking hot wife tonight, Lisa. In Jesus' name, boogity, boogity, boogity.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Hello, friends. Welcome into the NASCAR Gambling Podcast. Eventually, someday, I'll figure out how to use all these bells and whistles here. Okay. I don't know how Rod does all this all the time, I gotta say. Hey, look at that. There I am. Yeah, good to see you. Good to see you guys. You couldn't hear me before the video. Okay, well, that's why Rod usually runs all this, so sorry about that. But welcome in to the NASCAR Gambling Podcast. I, of course, am Cody Zeeb. I am not joined today by Rod Villagomez. He's out on assignment with the Army, so we're missing him very much. Shout out to Old Fashioned Football joining me already in the comments here. Yeah, going to talk some DFS for Daytona. I got to say, there's not many more fun places to play DFS than Daytona because, well, it's anybody's game, as we've been talking about all week already. And yeah, we're going to bring up some different names that we don't usually get to talk about this week, and that's always a good time. Old-fashioned football saying, hey, I'm a Nebraskan, we give you a pass. Yes, luckily, Rod will be back next week, and things will be back to normal. NASCAR playoffs start next week. I heard a rumor that there's going to be a bonus episode next week talking about the playoffs, filling out our playoff brackets, giving out futures bets. So yeah, looking forward to that. Very excited for that. Going to be a fun run to the playoffs. It's crazy to think that we're already this far into the season. Yeah, it's actually sort of sad that there's only 11 races left for the NASCAR Cup Series, but that's okay. The Experts Suck Sports Betting Podcast jumping in the chat as well. Says, Cody, what is up? You know, just trying to figure out how Rod does all this shit behind the scenes here, pretty much. And yeah, they're busy posting their head-to-head picks in the Discord. I hope you got Kyle Larson in your head-to-heads, because if you want to fade me, that's definitely the route you're going with that. But yeah, anyways, real quick, I wanted to tell everybody, the Sports Gambling Podcast giving away $1,000 circa NFL future with the phrase that pays. So they did the 32 NFL preview shows. You can go back and listen to each one individually. There's a word in each show, creates that 32-word phrase. You put all those words together, go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/phrase. So a lot of ways you can submit it. You can just do the generic old Google Doc. You could fax it to them. They got the mailing address in there. You better hurry up because you got to have that in by the week one show, I think, is when they're giving those out. But sportsgamblingpodcast.com/phrase to get entered to win that $1,000 circa NFL future bet. All right, Marcus checking in. He says, hello, everybody. Who's everyone's pick to win at Daytona? It's a no surprise, of course. Marcus predicts Christopher Bell is going to win here. So, yeah. And, yeah, old-fashioned football. I don't know if this is really good advertisement for your show because I wouldn't be giving out winning bets. You could put it to win on the Bills to win the Super Bowl. I mean, if you want to throw away $1,000, that'd be a good way to do it. I did hear the guys on the main show, at least I think they did it last night, but dropped in the feed in the podcast feed today. We're talking AFC East, and they brought up that, like, do you just put that on the Bills and to win the division and cash that? And yeah, that would be a way to, I guess, not really maximize your money, but oh well, it is what it is. So all right, we got some news to talk about, so I am going to jump into that. Connor Zilic, I talked about this yesterday on the Xfinity show a little bit. He was on the entry list. It looks like, hey, he's going to run. Just coming off of that broken collarbone 2 weeks ago, racing at Daytona. Oh yeah, pretty interesting there. But so the plan is he is going to start the race, and he Bob Pockris interviewed him today. Mixed comments, but it sounds like the plan is for him to qualify the car, start the race, and essentially the first chance they get to pit, he'll pit, and they'll put Parker Kligerman in the car. So by him starting the race, they don't have to go for another medical waiver, which he'd have to get for missing more time. And any points that Kligerman is able to earn will go towards Connor Zilich's regular season chase in the Xfinity Series. They still have 3 races left before the playoffs start. He's still very much alive for the regular season title, which, as in very much alive, he is the current leader. So he's got a 7-point lead over Allgaier, 24 points back to Sam Mayer. But you look ahead on the schedule, and next week we're going to Portland. That obviously, as a road course, is a great opportunity for him to likely win and score a shit ton more points. So if he can start this race, put Kligerman in there, who, by the way, great super speedway racer, and I really like him. So, Rod, on yesterday's show, Rod had given me Zilich to give out as the winner. I like that, even with Kligerman in the car still. But he'll earn all those points. So if Kligerman's able to go out there, and even if Kligerman were to go out and win the race, actually Connor Zilich would get credit for the win because he's the driver who started the car. So important to note, check with your books, but the NASCAR rule is the driver who starts the race is the driver who is scored throughout the race. So as long as Connor Zilich takes the green flag, he could pull in the next lap and Kligerman gets in the race. Officially on the sheet, Kligerman's name will never appear, and it will be Connor Zilich finished in. Connor Zilich ran this many laps, even though it was Kligerman, because that's who started the race. That's who gets all the points. That's who's on the sheets. So I believe most of the books also go by that, but double check with where you bet at. As we know, there's a million different places. They all have different rules. And then on DraftKings, DFS stuff, it will be scored by whoever starts the race. So I'm about to talk about DFS today. If you play Connor Zilich and Kligerman gets in the car, it's going to count as Zilich's stuff. So as long as he does actually start the race, if you play him, I'd make sure and keep an eye on that, make sure he does. But that appears to be the plan. So just wanted to kind of clear that up because that stuff can be tough and can get confusing. But that's why they're doing it. And that appears at least to be the plan is to quickly get Kligerman in that car and allow him to do that. So want to say rest in peace to Humphrey Wheeler, the longtime promoter of Charlotte Motor Speedway, Lowe's Motor Speedway, of course. He passed away yesterday evening. He was, very instrumental in a lot of things, growing NASCAR, especially at their home base there in Charlotte. So yeah, just wanted to say rest in peace to him, and toss out to his family our condolences and our thoughts for sure. Another update for driver availability. As we knew last week, Corey LaJoie was on standby for Brad Keselowski in case Paige Keselowski went into labor. That's no longer an issue because they did have a baby boy. So congratulations to the Keselowski family. Brad's going to be out there, and I'm going to be talking about Brad today, actually. But he'll be out there looking for a win because he's got to win and get in the race here at Daytona. So I think that pretty much catches up on the news. So there is that. Let's see. Experts suck saying got the 24 over the 5. Oh, you're not fading me then, because that's my favorite head-to-head on the week is Byron over Larson. So there we go. But all right, yeah. So the way I'm going to do this, I'm going to usually I'll give out a high-tier driver, mid-tier driver, low-tier driver. Rod will do the same thing. But like I said, Rod's gone obviously today. Didn't have a chance to get plays from him. So I'm going to give out 2 of each. I'm going to give out 2 of my favorite high-price guys, 2 of my favorite mid-tier guys, 2 of my favorite low-tier guys. No underdog stuff up yet, unfortunately. So going to go through the Xfinity Series. Also going to go through the Cup Series. So I'm going to jump right into it. I will be taking questions. If you're joining live here on the YouTube, you got a question about a driver, go ahead and drop that in there, and I'll try and chat about them a little bit as well and make this just a fun show to finish out the week. to set up Daytona for both of these races. Obviously, we know what can happen in these races. It's chaotic, it's crazy, and there's going to be big wrecks. It's going to take people out. Everybody in the pool is alive. I cannot stress to you enough, you do not have to spend your entire salary when you build these super speedway lineups. Oftentimes, on a week-to-week basis, you usually want to use most of your salary, maybe leave a couple $100. Oftentimes, I'll be building these super speedway lineups and leave $4,000, $5,000. I think I've left $7,000, $8,000 on the table, which seems crazy, but the prices honestly don't mean a ton in these races. So don't overthink, I've got to spend up. It's more about, in the Xfinity Series race in particular, which we're going to talk about first, 250 miles, which is only 100 laps. So much like a road course, it's not a ton of laps to be led. There's not a ton of fast laps. That's going to kind of shake up a little bit. It's going to be more about place differential. That's going to be huge going forward because starting position, and I want to touch on that as well, starting position doesn't matter here. If you start 40th, it changes nothing about my opinion on you for the weekend. If you start first, it changes nothing about my opinion on you for the weekend. Obviously, if you start 40th, you've got the potential, or 38th in the Xfinity Series because 38 cars, but you've got the potential to get 37 place differential points. If you start first, you've got the potential to get 37 negative place differential points. So make sure you take that into account as you kind of weigh things for yourself. But yeah, 100 laps in the Wawa 250 powered by Coca-Cola for this Xfinity Series race. So we will go to the top of the board. If I can find, oh boy, I'm on the wrong dock. So I'll pull up the correct dock. That way I can actually give you the right plays, because that'd probably be a good idea. And I'm going to start out with Jesse Love near the top of the board. So you got Austin Hill up there. I will say about Austin Hill, going to be extremely popular. Everybody's going to play him. And I can't tell you not to play him because he's really good at these tracks. But we've also seen sometimes it doesn't always work out for him. He's not made a lot of friends lately, if you've paid attention to the Xfinity Series, obviously. So I think less people are going to be willing to work with him than normal. They already don't love working with him because they don't love the fact that that he just kills everybody when they work with him, honestly. Like that, just to sum it up, he does a lot better than just about everybody. So, and then obviously his recent actions have hurt that as well. So Jesse Love, his teammate, is a guy that I kind of have my eye on. He actually won here at Daytona back in the spring, and he led 30 laps in the process. So only 100 laps on the board to lead. If you can get out front and play that Pied Piper role, which Jesse Love, and maybe it's because he's a teammate to Austin Hill, has been very good at doing. And if those two guys are up there, Austin will be fine tucking in behind Love and just pushing him around. So he started in 9th place, finished in 1st, led 30 laps. That's a great day at Daytona. That's what you're looking for. Obviously, starting in 9th, you need him to not get caught up in the big one. But then you go to Talladega, kind of looking at drafting tracks in a general sense. Atlanta started 1st, finished 16th. He did lead 13 laps, but the negative place differential there definitely hurts. But Talladega, you go there. Starts on the pole, finished 3rd at the end of the day, but he led 50 laps. So what I'm trying to get to with Jesse Love here is he leads a ton of laps and is capable of playing that Pied Piper role, getting them to fall in line behind him in the draft, and just go out and click off the laps and do really well. So go back to Atlanta, started 5th, finished 6th, 3 laps led, so not a ton there. But going back to last season, he was also really good on these super speedways. I guess the problem with him is he qualifies well, which double-edged sword, because if he starts on the pole, which he often does, it seems like at these tracks, you got all that negative place differential, but that's going to probably scare some people off of him. If he hits and leads 50 laps, 30 laps, and wins the race, he's going to be a good play for you. So it's got its risk, it's got its reward. But looking at Talladega last year in the spring race, led 28 laps, finished in 1st place there. So another one where he's out front a ton, leading a lot of laps. They went to Atlanta last year, and this was as a rookie last year too. I mean, he didn't really have a ton of experience, but led 23 laps, finished in 6th place there. Then they went to Talladega, led 28 laps there, finished in 6th place again. So he's been really strong on the road courses, and that's what I like. And Samuel Smith dropping in the chat here, Love over Hill. That is a bet that's out there. You can get it plus money. I didn't make the Xfinity card, but I definitely, when I looked at Hill always scares me a little bit, but I like this because I think that Love is pretty equal to Hill. I mean, they're in the same cars, obviously, and I would say the not road coursing skill, the super speedway or drafting track skill is pretty similar. So I do not mind that as well. All right, Andrew, I see your question. I'm going to get to you here in a second. But first, before I get to my next high-priced driver as well, I would like to tell you about our friends over at mybookie.ag. We're brought to you by mybookie.ag. MyBookie is your place to bet on every sport, including the MLB, WNBA, golf, and of course, football futures. Oh, let's go. I'm so excited. MyBookie accepts customers from a ton of locations. Easy deposit, lightning fast payouts using crypto. I'm looking at MyBookie right now. They have got actually got some pretty good top 10 odds this week compared to some of the places. That Cody Ware one I gave out, I think a 4-1 on Tuesday. You can get that at plus 650. So I like to highlight that. BJ McLeod, though, you can get a BJ at plus 820 over at mybookie.ag right now. So head over to mybookie.ag. Use the promo code SGPN for a 50% deposit match up to $1,000. Terms and conditions apply. That's mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN. I'd also like to tell you about our friends over at Rhythm. The NFL is back on Rhythm. Last season, Rhythm was 76-66 against the spread, 22-19 on over-unders. Really shined on their player props. They had Tyreek Hill 13-5. They went on the Tyreek Hill props last year, 31% ROI. Clearly, the data that they had got them in on his sad decline before it happened. So they knew it was coming, and they got you a 31% ROI, which is a great day. They've also got NBA, MLB, WNBA, golf, college football, everything you want over there. Gotta love that. Head over to the site today. Start building your NFL models for week 1. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm, RITHMM, to get your 7-day free trial started. All right. So Andrew had a question here. A couple of questions, and good questions too. Do you try to group by teams, like Byron pushing a Bowman, or by a manufacturer? So, if you wanted to stick with the Chevy thing, do you look at a Kyle Busch and a William Byron type of thing? I think that this is a great strategy. We see consistently, very consistently, manufacturers tend to work with other manufacturers. When you don't, Parker Retzlaff, you get red listed and lose your ride, and all kinds of crazy stuff happens, right? So in a general sense, they're going to try and work with their partners before they'll work with others. Sometimes you're forced to work with others. That's going to happen. And you could even do the friend angle, like putting a Bubba Wallace and a Ryan Blaney in the same thing, because if they're around each other, they're going to pick their teammates first because they have to. But if it's, if Ryan Blaney's choosing between, well, I can push a Chevrolet or Bubba Wallace, he's going to push Bubba Wallace because they're best friends off the track, right? So I think all those things you can and should play in together. So trying to get, I think a Hendrick lineup might be tough because they're all going to be a little bit higher. But I think that that building them together is a great way to do it. You can do the legacy stack. That would have paid out in the Daytona 500. Jimmy Johnson was top 5. John Nemechek was top 5. I believe Eric Jones was top 10 that day. So, even stacking the smaller teams like that, you can look into the alliances. So Colleague, RCR, those guys are on the same campus out there in Welcome. If you stack those teams together, you put in the Kyle Busch, the AJ Allmendingers together, tossing the Austin Hill or Austin Dillon, Ty Dillon. Austin Hill is going to be RCR this week too. Those are definitely good ways to get in on. And we've seen before where they'll try and do different strategies. Toyota in particular has been more aggressive, it seems like, where they will either pit early and try to force the other team's hands, or stay out late, trying to force other people's hands, but then they get all in a group together. Those strategies don't always work out, and the one time they wrecked each other doing it. But if it does work out and Toyota plays the game properly, all of a sudden they've got a 6-car breakaway. Maybe they're able to sweep those top 6 spots, or whatever the case is, if we get long green runs in that last stage and stuff. So, yeah, I do think that's a great way to get in, especially here more than anywhere else. I mean, it's tougher, obviously, anywhere else, but on the drafting tracks, grouping by teams, grouping by manufacturers, and even throwing the friend groups in there. We learned on Jeff Gluck's 12 questions this week, Austin Cindric and Todd Gilliland are buddies. Didn't see that coming, but they're also Ford teammates. So there you go. Samuel Smith says, just remember, if anything happens to Zilich, Love will not be able to keep his head in the game. Greatly affected by unbreakable Zilich. Zilich needs a Got Milk sponsor. Give that boy some calcium supplements. Yes, boy, it's incredible that Zilich even going to be racing this week. But, here we are, and or at least starting the race, I guess. So, all right, my other top-tier driver for the Xfinity Series, I wanted to highlight Taylor Gray. I talked about Taylor Gray yesterday on the betting episode for Xfinity Series, but he's been extremely impressive in his short Xfinity Series career here. Just, in his rookie season this year, but he came out in Daytona, started second, so I'd like for him to not start so well. This is one of those tracks where you don't want him to qualify well, so you can get a little bit better place differential, but finished in 5th place, and the finishing position, kind of what I want to highlight with that, because he goes out, has a good day, keeps it clean, stays out of trouble. He did not stay out of trouble at Atlanta the next week. That he got caught up in a wreck there early and had a bad finish, but then he went to Talladega, finished in 11th place, again, started 6th, so you'd like a little bit of a farther back starting spot. And then Atlanta, though, starts 7th, finishes in 5th in the second Atlanta race there. So had some pretty solid runs there. And he has been pretty good in the truck series in the past on Daytona. So Taylor Gray, a guy that I've kind of got my eye on, maybe again to that teammate comparison that Andrew was looking at. You tag team him up with a guy like Eric Almirola. I'm all in on William Sawalich these days. Maybe he gets a good super speedway run. So you could definitely look at doing stuff like that. Justin says, I'm doing a fantastic job. Thanks, Justin. I'm getting better at the solo stuff, except for the beginning of the show where it was not smooth or solid. Luckily, if you're listening to this on the podcast, you'll have no idea because Rod will clean all that up for me because he's a magician. But I definitely don't enjoy this seat as much as the other seats. So it's always Rod's to have for sure. So we'll make it up to you guys next week with that bonus show talking about the playoffs, which I'm pretty fucking excited for. So, all right, moving over to the mid-tier guys. Some guys I want to highlight in the middle of the board. I'm going to start off with old Harrison Burton. I talked about him yesterday on the betting show too. I am just in love with Harrison Burton this weekend. I think he's massively underrated, and I think that he's just highly going overlooked, and his DFS price is no different. $7,700, just kind of middle of the pack and out of the way. In the Xfinity Series, 5 career starts at Daytona, has not finished worse than 9th place. You can't get much more consistent than that. That's what you love to see. What was he doing last year? Oh, yes, he was winning this race in the Cup Series to win his way into the playoffs. And now, obviously, he stepped back into the Xfinity Series. Oh, it's AM racing. Hopefully, like in the spring here at Daytona, he'll go out and qualify in 32nd place. I would love to see that because he ended up in the top 10 by stage 2 where he finished in 10th, 6th place at the end of the day. So 32nd to 6th, that is a great day. Tossed in 1 lap lead there as well, but you don't really need those when you're getting all that place differential. So Harrison Burton, extremely consistent. And yeah, in the 20 car, Samuel says in the 20 car didn't finish out of the top 5. He did actually in the August of 21, he finished in 9th place. But so he's got 5 career starts. 4 of them were in the 20 car for Gibbs, 2nd, 5th, 3rd, and 9th, and then 6th place earlier this spring in the AM Racing 25. So I'm not overly concerned about, being in the AM car or anything like that. Obviously, the Burton name really, and this is one where you can go out and do a cross manufacturers. I think Jeb's in a Chevy, if I remember correctly. But Jeb Burton, his cousin, obviously is in this. That's another great pairing. Those guys are both good. They run around each other a lot. They're within 30 points, I think, of each other on the playoff cut line. So they're constantly around each other. They're both great super speedway racers. Jeb has got multiple Talladega wins. And Harrison, of course, had won in the Cup Series last year at Daytona. So Harrison Burton, another guy that, in case you didn't listen to the betting episode yesterday, go back and check that out for sure. But at $7,700, He's definitely a guy that I like a lot this week. Then we're going to go to another guy in the mid-tier range here, and that is Mr. Ryan Sieg, $7,900. Gave him out as an outright yesterday. Couldn't really find another way to bet on him. Generally ends up being a car lift type of guy, but couldn't quite pull the trigger on that here. But he is very good at these super speedways. Going back to the spring, he did get caught up on a wreck where he finished in 19th. But the last two fall races here for Ryan Sieg, which also, to go back and kind of touch on that, in these fall races, kind of expect a little bit more chaos. I expect these races to be more chaotic. It's getting to crunch time. A lot of people who know they have to win to get in, this is their last chance. This isn't the cutoff race like the Cup Series, so we still have Portland and I think Gateway is the other one coming up for them before they cut off. But it's a chance for a lot of people. If you get the win now, you can lock yourself in, and you don't have to worry about it the next 2 weeks, which might be less easy to win as a Daytona where everybody's kind of got a chance. So kind of expect the chaos. But in those last two fall races here, Ryan Sieg's been good. A 5th place finish, a 6th place finish. So it's been really strong. He did finish 22nd here in the spring of 24, so a rough day then. But in the spring of 23, 8th place finish, which makes 3 of his last 5 races here inside of the top 8 at the end of the day. Spring of 2022, an 8th place finish. And really just going back all throughout his career, he's had strong, solid days. They're not always great. He's one of those guys that is going to be up there racing. You're going to see him all day. It's not going to be, where'd Ryan Sieg come from? Sieg's going to be in the pack, battling it up all day long. Opportunity to lead some laps for sure in there as well. And he did lead, actually led 10 laps here in the spring. He led 12 laps last spring, 23 laps a couple of years ago in the spring. Now, those tend to be the races where he wrecks in, so maybe it's better if he doesn't end up finishing or leading those laps. But he's going to run up front throughout the day, and he's really strong. Going back throughout his career, 9th in 2020, a 4th in 2019, a 3rd in 2016, a 3rd in 2014, a 9th in 2014. So always been a guy who's a threat here. We've obviously seen him be really good at Talladega as well. And if you want to throw some of those Atlanta comps in as well, he has been good there. Ty Tiger checking in. What's up, buddy? Good to see you. Sazib, what's going on? And then he's asking about Chase Briscoe over Tyler Reddick. I feel like this was one that Rod talked about on Tuesday when he was here with me. It was not, but he did have some good things to say about Mr. Chase Briscoe, the top 5 bet that he gave out on that. And honestly, like if you just look at the two drivers and what have you done for me lately, I want absolutely nothing to do with Tyler Reddick, who I just love and made us so much money last year. It's been a brutal, horrible season for him this year, and things have just not been going his way. You saw it last week. He's leading late at Richmond, or it wasn't too late, but he was leading, had a great car, gets spun out. So, yeah, it's just it's tough to trust Reddick right now. So I would take Briscoe over Reddick. And then Sam was checking in on the Connor Start Parker driver swap. Yeah, I talked about this at the top of the show, but if you're just joining live on the YouTube, that appears to be the plan from what Connor was telling Bob Pockris. He's going to start the race. Parker Kligerman will get in. And then just to kind of touch on it again, check with your books how they pay that out. But NASCAR officially scores. DK for fantasy will officially score the whole race as Connor Zilic, as if he's driving the car once he starts it, no matter who gets in there. So on the books, I would definitely double check with your book and their rules in particular. So, all right, let's go save some money here in the Xfinity Series and check out some guys that we like over here. And, gave old Patrick Emmerling the cover on the Xfinity Series Picks show yesterday. I'm going to talk about him a little bit more here today. $5,100 for Patrick Emmerling. He's a driver way down on the board. That has kind of caught my eye. Again, talked about it yesterday. These are the types of guys that you look at and you love it, right? The Emmerling, I don't remember who he was matched up against yesterday on the betting show, but playing those head-to-head, so much fun. That's where we got to get back to, just having fun betting at places like Daytona, and throw him in your DFS lineup. Sweat out the Emmerling on the betting side, sweat him out on the DFS side. He's been really good.
likely is not going to start extremely well. He actually last year in February started 13th here in this 07 SS Greenlight car, but otherwise he started 23rd and 35th in the last 2 races. I'd prefer that because you get the place differential, but the finishes have been good. 17th in his first career start in 2024, 18th last fall in this race, and 10th here in the spring race here in the spring. So he has been really good on these super speedways. And I was trying to pull up Everling. Oh boy, if I could find all my tabs and get them correct, I'd be able to tell you how good he is on the other ones too. But the thing with a guy like Patrick Emmerling, they know this is a type of race where they can go out and they can just run their race. They can do well. Yes, and the head-to-head was against Perkins. That was the head-to-head I gave out yesterday. So thank you, Samuel. Appreciate you helping me out there. But Talladega, that was the other race I was looking at. Starts in 28th, finishes in 12th place. Like that's what he's here to do. He's not under any illusions that he's going to go win on a week-to-week basis, but they can score really good finishes and have great days by not tearing up their equipment, taking care of stuff, going out there and taking care of business. So that's kind of what I expect out of a guy like this is just to mind his P's and Q's, go out and have a good day. He's proved many times he can get it done. At this cheap of a price, all the way down on the board at $5,100, Patrick Emmerling, I think, is a great play this week. Another guy that I think is a great play this week is one Joey Gase. Excuse me. I'm going to take him. He's even farther down on the board, $4,900. And he's going to be doing a little bit of double duty this week. He'll be in the Cup Series as well. I don't like him as much in the Cup Series because of the car as I do here in the Xfinity Series. But another driver who minds his P's and Q's, very smart racer. He's been around a long ass time. Joey Gase has been driving in the top 3 series in NASCAR since 2011. So he's been around a long time, made Cup Series starts, made all of that. But he's done a great job at these races. So you go back to the spring race here at Daytona, started in 37th. That's what you want. You look at his starting spots, and I don't know what happened at Talladega. He somehow started 4th, but every other start he's had this season has been worse than 33rd. That's ideal. You don't want him to start well. You want him to start the back. Gives you a very low floor, but he's got a high ceiling where he finished in 15th here in the spring. Even at Atlanta, starts in 38th, finishes in 21st. So a great run there. Talladega, he got a 21st place finish, which would be great had he started farther back, but the 4th place start definitely threw that off. So Joey Gase starts in 4th. Maybe that was a rained out one or something, but I probably wouldn't play him there, although I don't know why he would start 4th at that one in particular. But then Atlanta, 18th place. So the 3 starts that he's had so far this season on these tracks, all been good results. Go back and you look at last year. He was 20th in the one Daytona race. He just did the fall. Looks like he didn't qualify for the spring race, which could always be an issue. There will be one driver that doesn't make the race, so keep that in mind. But even though it's a guy who might not make the race, if he does make the race, again, that one car speed is kind of thrown out the window. It's all about the packs. It's all about stuff like that. So Talladega, 21st place finish last year. So that's exactly what we want, is just a solid run from Mr. Joey Gase. $4,900 for Joey Gase. So, all right, that wraps up the Xfinity Series. As Rod says, get out your pen and paper, and I'll give you the plays that I gave out here. So the 2 high-tier guy drivers that I highlighted, Jesse Love at $10,700, Taylor Gray at $9,000, then Harrison Burton, $7,700, and Mr. Ryan Sieg at $7,900. Low-tier guys save you a little bit of money, have high upside. Patrick Emmerling at $5,100 and Joey Gase at $4,900. So we'll slide things over to the Cup Series after I tell you about our friends over at the Circa, the world's greatest sports book. Circa Las Vegas is hosting the world's biggest the world's biggest pro football contest, the Circa Million, the Circa Survivor, and as Justin likes to say, the Circa Grandissimo. I don't say it as good as he does, but close enough. With over $21 million in guaranteed prizes, you can't call yourself a true DGen if you're not competing in the Circa football contest. You can go hang out with a bunch of the SGPN crew They are there this weekend for the Circa contest weekend. It's from August 21st, that'd be today, through the 23rd. An amazing weekend, including live shows, open bars, live shows and open bars. What more do you need? You wouldn't even get to the contest, right? Plus, you get 15% off your stay at the Circa if you use the promo code SGP15. These contests are open to everybody. You can sign up in Nevada and then play the rest of the season from anywhere with the help of SGPN's official proxy. Go to footballcontest.com and use the promo code SGP to get $50 off your proxy fees. Then let me tell you about our friends over at Underdog. You know how much we love Underdog. Underdog, they've got Best Ball Mania happening all summer long. We're getting close to the season starting. Finish getting those basketball teams drafted. They're giving away $15 million in prizes, including $2 million to first place. No waiver wire, no arguments about trades. Best ball is the best way to play fantasy football. Underdog, it's also a great place to play Pick'em, where you can get up to 500 times your entry. I was looking through. They don't have the racing stuff up yet, so stay tuned to the YouTube for the shorts later in the week. Of course, watch out for that Kyle Larson Captain Shook play. We're just going to take his worst then, whatever it is. But they've got season-long NFL stuff up over there under the NFL season SZN tab. They got my guy Drake May, 474.5 rushing yards. Love tossing that into some of these underdog plays, taking the higher than side, of course, because he almost hit this in about 12 games last year. So, yeah, head over to Underdog today and sign up with that promo code RACESGPN. All right. Whoops. If I could click the right button, which should be this one, that will bring me back. Let's get caught up with the chat here. Sam says, I wish there was a more subtle way for to help keep your notes together. He's got me. Oh, you got me. I do. I've got the old pen and paper, which is traditionally how I do the notes. Unfortunately, I've been very busy lately and haven't had as much time to write stuff down. So trying to keep the tabs organized maybe wasn't the best idea when I'm also trying to host a show, but we're pushing through and we've got it. So the Experts Suck Sports Betting Podcast says Daytona's got to be the quintessential NASCAR track for bettors. Of course, the Experts Suck has coined the NASCAR phrase because that happens to us a lot. But yes, this is the type of place where you do get NASCAR a lot because there's going to be big wrecks. And as we kind of jump into the Cup Series, I am expecting the Cup Series to be the more chaotic of the two races. Also, bad hosting on my part, but reminder, the Xfinity race is Friday night. So if you listen to this live on Thursday or when it comes out here on Thursday, Friday night for Xfinity, that's obviously a day ahead of where we're used to, and Saturday night for the Cup Series, just like we had last week. So don't wait till Sunday to get these lineups in. You will be sorely disappointed. But Saturday night, it's under the lights. Here's the situation, right? Is we've got 14 drivers already locked in. They don't have too much to worry about. 22 drivers that want those last two spots. If we don't get a new winner, Tyler Reddick's in, Alex Bowman's in. It's clean cut and simple, right? Nothing else to worry about. Nobody else can point in. They can't lose out on points. If we get a new winner, one of them will not make it. Tyler Reddick has a 29-point advantage over Bowman, so Bowman's going to have to be pretty aggressive. If there is a new winner, it'll be one of those two guys that makes it in on points. So that's the situation, but you got 22 drivers out there, or at least 20 of them that have 20 regular drivers that have no shot at making the playoffs on points. They have got to win this week. That includes guys like Carson Hocevar, Ty Gibbs, guys that are not going to be afraid to get aggressive. And I think we're going to see extra aggression this week because there is a lot on the line. I think it's going to lead to big, crazy wrecks. It's going to wipe out a lot of the field, and you're going to be just hoping and praying every single time there is a big wreck that your guy makes it through. That's why you like betting on a guy like Patrick Emmerling, because you're like, oh my God, did Patrick Emmerling make it through? And then you see that 07 car going down, and it's a beautiful. That is the fun of betting or playing DFS on these super speedways. So you got to love that. So for the Cup Series, 40 drivers entered into this one. They will all make the race. It is 160 laps for the Cup Series, so 60 more than the Xfinity, but again, same kind of rules apply. It's less about laps led, and I know Rod gave out the under prop on most laps led by a single driver, So he doesn't think, and recent races would point you to believe that we're not going to get one guy who kind of just dominates and plays the Pied Piper and is up front all day long. You're also going to have a lot of fuel saving. Guys are not going to want to be leading because that burns more fuel. So I think that will kind of shift around quite a bit throughout the day. So Brad Keselowski, the first driver that I wanted to highlight, $9,600. I don't think that we brought him up on the betting episode. It seemed like he's, I don't know, it was a tough because he's one of the favorites. One of the favorites in this race at Daytona is Brad Keselowski. And I had been thinking, Brad Keselowski seems to me like more of a checkers or wreckers type of super speedway play. And I think that does kind of hold true when you look through things. And as we kind of will read through the stats here, you'll see a lot of that. But at the same time, he's really good at super speedways. And you got to give him credit for that. And, I think this is a high risk, high reward play because I think there's an opportunity, and we've seen it in the past. These RFK guys, back to Andrew's teammate question, RFK is a great one to play because they're all going to be together. They will make it their goal. They're having meetings right now in RFK land about how we're working together. All three of those cars are not in the playoffs. One of them has to win in order for them to get anybody in. We've seen Keselowski push Buescher before. We've seen those two cars work together better than anybody else, arguably. I think was it the duels this year where they just blew the field out? Like it was crazy how much faster they were working together. So you add Ryan Preece into that mix, obviously, and this RFK team could be really good. Now, I think there's going to be a lot of aggression out of Brad because he tends to be that way, and he knows what's on the line here. So high risk, high reward. He's got the new baby bump, so you get that from him. Of course, they had their baby boy this week, so you like that as well. Going back and looking here in the spring race, 26th place finish, right? Got caught up in it. That's how it goes. But in this race last year in the fall, and I'd like to highlight the last two fall races, much like a Ryan Seago I talked about earlier, good finishes, able to survive the chaos, get to the end of these things. 8th place here last fall, and then 2 falls ago, actually, 2nd place finish. Guess what? He was pushing Chris Buescher to the win in that race as the car owner, as the teammate, pushing him to the victory because they work so well together. So, again, I would consider highly stacking RFK guys in at least some of your lineups that you're entering. But 26 here in the spring in the 500, 8th place in the fall race here last year, 33rd in the 500 a couple of years ago, but then that 2nd place here, 22nd in the 500. So he's had some rough 500s here lately. Did have a 35th here in 2022 in the fall race, but that year in the 500 had the good finish. So I guess it's good finish in one or the other, and he didn't finish well in the 500 this year. So there's that for you. Then if you go back to the old car, he's obviously been very good here as well. He's won a fall race here or late July race, I guess, summer race in the past as well. So Brad Keselowski, good on the super speedways, on the drafting tracks. I do think that there is some high risk to it, but I think that he is a guy worth looking at for sure. So let's see. The experts suck was saying that little devil's whispering. Reddick again. I got rid of that little devil. Man, I just last year was so much fun. Went into the season just banging the Reddick drum. Everything I talked Ryan Kramer into placing the Reddick future. It was amazing. He put down the shit. He's like, later in the season, he texted me or messaged me, and he's like, "What the fuck? Does this have any chance? I bet a lot of money." And I'm like, "Oh, it's so good!" Like he won the regular season championship. He won all these races. Everything was so great. He made the Final Four. And then he shit the bed, and unfortunately we didn't cash those tickets. But he did make us a ton of money throughout the season last year. He's just been absolute trash this year. I don't know. It's been pretty rough for Mr. Reddick this season, and he's a hard guy, I think, to get on. But that being said, won at Talladega, I think it was last year, so he could do the drafting track stuff. I mean, he's gotten it done in the past for sure. So, all right, Austin Cindric. Highlighted him in the betting episode on Tuesday. He's a guy that I really like this weekend. $9,200. He's really good at this drafting track stuff. Of course, he won the Daytona 500 just a couple of years ago. This year in the Daytona 500. Now, I know that Rod made the case for the under on laps led, and I know that we said they might not matter. He led 59 laps. Now, granted, that's a 500-mile race, so an extra however many laps that is. But it's an extra chunk of laps for sure, extra 100 miles, obviously. So keep that in mind. But 59 laps led, that's pretty impressive. Then he went to Atlanta the next week and he led another 47 laps. Now, didn't work out at the end of the day, got caught up in a wreck and finished in 28th there. So that's always a concern. But then we go to Talladega, where he wins. He only led 7 laps that day, started in 7th, but won the race. So he's been really, really good on these drafting tracks and really good at leading a lot of laps, which gives you that high ceiling of being able to lead a ton of laps, play that Pied Piper role. Last year, Talladega in the fall race, starts in 2nd place, leads 29 laps. He's very good at leading laps. Now, got caught up in the wreck, 32nd. That kind of wipes out the laps led for you. But back at Atlanta, 92 laps led. Now, I will say, Atlanta race is different than Daytona and Talladega, despite the fact that it's a drafting track. I'm not leaning as much into those. Easier, I would say, to lead more laps there because you don't have quite the passing. But still impressive that he's able to get out in front of the draft, lead a lot of laps. That's what we're looking for. He led 16 laps last year at Talladega in the spring race. And then going back to Atlanta, where he got a 4th place finish there, he led 32 laps once again. And in the 500, 13 laps, but a bad finish in 22nd. So then obviously going back to 2022 as well, he won the Daytona 500 that year. So Austin Cindric has been probably one of the better super speedway guys. You have to kind of break it all out, but been one of the better guys on the drafting tracks. So he's a guy that I like this week as well at $9,200. Of course, I gave him out as an outright at 13-1 back on the betting show as well. Somebody else that I gave out on the betting episode, I also, I wanted to, the Expert Suck did post over in the Discord, did post the picture of Tyler Reddick's car, and he is driving the clown car this week. He's got Ronald McDonald on the side of his car in the McDonald's thing. I think we're clear of the McDonald's curse these days, right? I'm trying to remember, was Bubba in the McDonald's car when he won? I don't think he was. I know he was when he won at Talladega. The McDonald's curse was a real thing in NASCAR for a long time. I know he got that win at Talladega in the McDonald's car. I can't remember. I think Indy that was like Chumba Casino, wasn't it? So I don't know. He doesn't do as well in the McDonald's car. I don't know if Tyler's won in the McDonald's. Now I need to, that's after show research. Don't want to get off on a tangent, but look up the McDonald's curse. It was a very sad thing in my childhood as a big fan of Bill Elliott for the fact that he was the McDonald's car, but he is that. So Sam Smith, I love, this is great. Sam Smith says he looks at paint schemes and think that would look like shit in victory lane. I think that's a great way to bet, especially this week. That's a great way to place some bets. Like, oh, this car would look good. I did that with Kurt Busch a couple of years ago at Kansas when he won. He had that Jordan car that was beautiful. It was like gray and black, or gray and silver, I think, or gray and silver. It's the same fucking thing. Silver and black with a Jordan logo at Kansas. And it was like, this car is too beautiful not to bet on. And yeah, it worked out. So Experts Suck also had posted Bubba Wallace's car. It's camouflage. And I asked where the picture was because, well, it's camouflage. Couldn't see it. So, all right, moving on. John Hunter Nemechek, a guy that I really like John Hunter Nemechek this week. Obviously, I gave out the car lift on him on Tuesday's show for betting episodes. So that kind of shows you how much I like John Hunter Nemechek. Then I was listening to our buddy Phil over on the Full Tank with Phil show yesterday on his episode. He was talking about John Hunter. He was highlighting John Hunter really bad at Talladega, like 30th place or worse last couple of weeks. So keep that in mind in a few weeks when we go to Talladega. Not been good there. But at Daytona, he's been absolutely amazing. Go back to the spring. I talked about that legacy stack earlier, right? Jimmy Johnson ran really well in that race. And so did John Hunter Nemechek. He finished in 5th place after starting in 18th. That's a great day. I don't remember if I said his price or not, but he is $6,200 for the record. Last fall in this race, starts 31st. Beautiful. That's what we like. The guys I like, I want to start bad in this race because you get the upside of the place differential. He finished 15th in that race, so a solid day. 2024 Daytona 500 starts in 10th, finishes in 7th. Another good, solid, strong day. So that's all of his next gen starts since he returned to the Cup Series. But if you go back pre-next gen, 2 starts for Front Row Motorsports when he drove that car in 2020, 11th place in both of those starts as well. So all of his career starts here. 15th place is the worst finish for Mr. John Hunter Nemechek. And Daytona in particular over, Talladega not been as good to him. But Daytona in particular has been a great track for him. Boy, if he could win this week and cash the entire car lift for us, oh, buddy, that would be a beautiful, beautiful thing. But I think he is a great DFS play at $6,200. Speaking of guys in the mid-tier range, and I guess maybe I sort of did these guys backwards. Probably should have done it the other way around. But guys that are good at Daytona in particular, I'm going to jump to the – so Nemechek, $6,200 on the low end of the high-tier guys. On the higher tier, or low end of the mid-tier guys. On the higher end of the mid-tier guys is Alex Bowman at $7,800. He's also been very good at Daytona in particular. 6th place here in the 500. He actually led 11 laps in that earlier this spring. Last year in the fall race, started in 21st, finished 16th. That's an okay day. Daytona 500 in 2024, 2nd place. Go back to the August race here in 2023, a 6th place finish. The 500 in 2023 as well, 5th place. The August of 24 or 22 race here, 14th place in that one as well. You go back to pre-next gen era in the old car, he was really good here, in particular at the fall race, 7th and 21, 7th and 2020 in those fall races. So some very, very good runs by him, even at a 13th place finish. I love going back. BK Racing Toyota, back when he was just really cutting his teeth. A 13th place finish after starting 43rd. The good old days when we had 43 cars. Wasn't it beautiful? But Alex Bowman has been very, very strong at Daytona in particular. He could be a guy, and I've seen some people in the Discord talking about betting on Alex Bowman this week. He could certainly be a guy to keep your eye on for that win. He pops up and gets these wins when it's least expected, right? He doesn't have to win necessarily to get in. Be the most certain way to make sure you find your way in. Obviously, he's one of the 2 drivers who can point their way in, but he is a guy that I like a lot this week that's been very good at Daytona as well. Alex Bowman at $7,800. I'm sure you were just waiting if you saw the graphic for the if you saw the graphic for the YouTube channel, that's what I was trying to get out. You saw Mr. BJ McLeod with his hat turned backwards, looking like a badass like he always does. So, of course, we're going to talk about him today. You can get BJ at $4,800. I mentioned him in that MyBookie read earlier. At top 10, a little bit of a sneaky number over there that I like. He did miss the Daytona 500, unfortunately, earlier this year, but went to Atlanta. Look, he's not going to start good. He will start probably last in this race, 38th so he's started in 3 races this year. Atlanta, and Talladega. He started 38th in all 3 of them. So not going to start well. Exactly what you want. Doesn't start well. Has the ability to finish well. That's what we're looking for. Just survive. Make it through these races in advance. So misses the Daytona 500. He ran okay in the dual race, but I think got collected in something there late. But 22nd place at Atlanta after starting 38th. We'll take that. Talladega was a rough one. Got caught in the wreck, 33rd. But coming back to Atlanta, finished in 16th place. Starts in the back. He knows he's not going to be the best car out there. So good at minding his P's and Q's, getting to the ends of these races. That's what you want. In this race in particular last year, guess where he started? You got it, 38th place, because, of course, that's where he always starts. It seems like 19th place finish in this fall race. Again, gets more chaotic in the fall race than it does in the 500, and you end up with good finishes for guys like BJ McLeod. 22nd here at Talladega last fall, 25th at Atlanta last fall as well, and a 24th place finish in the spring Atlanta race a couple of years ago. Looking back even farther, he started some other races. Boy, he's really good at missing the Daytona 500. He's a lot of dual results, not 500 results, but did run the fall race here back in 2023, and again had a 23rd place finish. That's just exactly what we're looking for. Is you don't need it to be. He doesn't have to finish top 10. I mean, I do like the plus 850 number over on MyBookie there, but it doesn't have to be that good of a finish for BJ. He just has to survive the day, honestly, and get you an okay finish. And that's exactly what we're looking for. So if you go back farther and you kind of look through his time at Daytona, he's been, again, solid, right? That's all you're looking for. There's a few outliers where he finishes bad, but he's got that top 10 ability. Guess what? 2022 next gen era starts in 36th place. If you'll remember, that was the rain where the rain took everybody out and going into the corner in a big, massive crash. 7th place. He would have cashed the top 10 for you that day in the next gen car in the 78 part-time Live Fast Motorsports car. Like, everything lines up the same way as it does here. Old car, but same example. August of 2021, 9th place finish. He has got that top 10 upside, and he can certainly get it done at these types of tracks. So I love BJ McLeod this week, $4,800. Another guy I kind of got my eye on is Mr. Cody Ware. Actually talked about him on the betting episode, which is not something we typically do, but he did come up on the betting episode. You can get him at $4,900. When you're looking at the bottom of the board here on DraftKings at the salaries for these guys, you've got obviously BJ McLeod is down here. You got Cody Ware down here. All the way at the very bottom, you also have Joey Gase, who I highlighted in the Xfinity show, and you got Casey Mears. I think a lot of people are going to stuff Gase and Mears in there. They're not going to start well. They have the potential to be okay plays, especially in chaos. Gase is in the 44 for New York Racing, and Mears was in the 66 for Garage 66. I'm slightly more concerned with their equipment. Not that it can't run in the draft, because I think it can. Just getting to the end of 400 miles, I think, is the concern there. I'm not going to tell you not to play those guys, because I think they're definitely in play. But I love being able to go up just above those two guys at 4,800 for BJ. And Ty Tiger pointing out that I do love BJ. I love BJ. I think BJ is great. I think BJ is wonderful. And he's a great race car driver as well. So that's always good. But if you go above those two guys, you get BJ at 48 and Cody Ware at $4,900. I like those a little bit more. Cody's another guy who's, first of all, great name, love it. But he's got the ability to finish well in these super speedway races. Not only that, but these fall super speedway Daytona races with everything on the line. He's been great the last couple of times out. Last year, 4th place finish after starting in 33rd. That is a beautiful DFS day for a guy this cheap. He did not race here in the fall of 2023 because of the legal issues going on, but in the fall of 2022, so the other time he was in this race in the next gen era, when it was a cutoff race, guess what? He finished in 6th place after starting in 33rd. That's what you're looking for out of him. 31st in the 500 this year. Things didn't quite work out for him. That was Talladega earlier this year. 25th in the 500, but last year in the fall, 12th place at Talladega. So he's got the upside. 14th in the Daytona 500 in 2023. Obviously the 6th place here a couple of years ago as well. So Cody Ware, certainly another guy who can get it done on these super speedways. For him, it's about, this is his chance to shine. He doesn't have a chance to win at other tracks. But these drafting tracks, keep it clean till the end, and that's what gives these guys at least a shot at the end of the day, and they usually end up with these good finishes if they can just avoid the wrecks. So that's what I'm looking for, and more so out of all the drafting tracks this year, if I had to pick one that's going to be the most chaotic, obviously we've got 4 behind us already, but it's going to be this one because, and we've seen some pretty tame super speedway races lately, because everything's on the line. Guys are going to get aggressive, and we know it takes one little slip up, just moving over just a little bit, and it fucks the whole field, and then you get to restarts and cautions breed cautions. We know how it goes. So prep for chaos. That's my advice this week. All right, get out your pen and paper. I will recap my favorite DFS plays again. This is going into the weekend. We don't know the starting spot, so make sure you take that stuff into account. But started off with Brad Keselowski, $9,600. And also like Austin Cindric, who drives Keselowski's former ride there, at $9,200 for the high tier guys. For the mid-tier guys, top of the mid-tier section went with Alex Bowman, and middle or lower mid-tier section, John Hunter Nemechek. We got the car lift on him, so completing that out with the DFS play over here. And then down to the low-tier guys, stepping just up above the bottom for BJ McLeod at $4,800. And Cody Ware at $4,900. We did it again, friends. We made it through another full episode of me trying to host. We'll see how easy it is for me to get out of this show at this point in time. But next week, Rod will be back from his Army duties. Thank God. Bonus episode. We're going to be talking playoffs. Playoffs? Yes, we're going to be talking NASCAR playoffs. We'll give our predictions out. For that, along with futures bets to go along with it. I'm sure we'll have championship odds, Final Four odds, who knows? Maybe we'll even get some other props to go along with it. If you're listening, Books, which we know you are, we would love to have that stuff to talk about and to bet on. So if you could give it to us, that would be great. I want to say thank you to the chat for helping keep me going today. Love all of you guys. Sam Smith says it's going to be fuel saving, 3 and 4 wide, 50 to 70% throttle. So it's going to be, but when it gets crazy, it's going to get crazy. People are going to be aggressive, and I'm excited. It's going to be, again, enter the DFS contest, just like I talked about with the betting contests. Go lighter than normal. Don't enter this expecting to win it all, but you probably have a better shot to win it all this week against all the people with their computer lineups than any other week because it's fucking random. Leave some money on the table. Do what you got to do. Go have fun. If you like a good sweat like I do, just fucking watch that. Watch that DFS number go up and down and up because every lap it's going to change. And then after the wrecks, check it. And if you don't, if your heart can't handle that, put your phone down and do not look at that app because the shit gets crazy in there on these super speedway races. It's a lot of fun. Ty Tiger says, thanks. Glad he was able to join for a bit. Excited to be in Discord for the races this week. Discord's the place to be. Boy, they all throughout the week, it doesn't matter what day of the week it is, they are busy over there chatting it up. It's a great place to be. Lots of great friendships being formed over there. And then during the races, absolutely insane. Lots of guys talking live betting, strategy, all sorts of stuff. So sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. Make sure you jump over there. And best of luck to everybody this week at Daytona. Make sure you follow Rod over on the X at RJ Villagomez. He's got tons and tons of great stuff out over there. DGen Play of the Day, his website, So You Like Sports. Lots of good stuff over there. And then follow the show as well at NASCAR Gambling. Follow us on the X, the Facebook, the YouTubes, all the fun stuff that the kids say. Spotify comments, go ahead and leave those. Ask your questions in there. We now have access to that, which is a great addition for us. We love that. And then follow me as well over on the X at Husker_Zeeb. You can find all my stuff over there. Lots of college football stuff right now. Lots of NFL stuff as we get ready for the National Football League and college football, of course. So that's all I got for you guys. I appreciate everybody joining me today. Make sure you click that subscribe, like, thumbs up, all the fun stuff. Best of luck. And let's go racing and let it ride.